So here we are on top of Vulture Peak. We've got the Rajgiri Shanti Stupa here. And then down here, that's actually the official Vulture Peak. And there was a 1,500-year-old stupa there at the location straight ahead. There is the cave there that's associated with Ananda's enlightenment right before it was time to go to the first Buddhist council over at Septiparni cave on the other side of Rajgiri, where they were going to where everybody was going to share out their memories of the Buddha's speeches, his discussions, which form the Tipitaka, or the three baskets, the sutras, his sayings on ethics and practice, his behaviors, etc. And then there's the cave associated where Shariputra, one of the main disciples of the Buddha, he attains enlightenment in a cave right down there. So does Ananda. Buddha gives many important discourses there on top of the peak, because apparently there are nice acoustics, and he could have spoken to monks on all around that were in a variety of caves throughout the hill. Also, this is considered to be the beginning of the Zen tradition, Chan. Direct mind-to-mind transmissions begins here with the Buddha and one of his disciples. I don't remember if it's Mahakassapa or Moggallana. But let me see. So anyway, we'll go and try to check this out, but I'm not seeing any people there. And I just tried a couple different directions to go there, and it seems like it's blocked off. Now, I don't know if they're blocking it off until the monsoon seasons are over and until the tourist and pilgrimage season begins in a few weeks. But it's a very interesting area, and do my best to bring you some more videos about it. But one of the things that's interesting about the first Buddhist council and Ananda participating is it was 6 months after the Buddha had passed away, and they saw that it was important to collect his speeches, his discourses, and to preserve it for the future. And that would include the sutras, which includes his speeches, discourses, his teachings on ethics, morality, on practice, and then the Vinaya, so the monastic code. And then the third was of the three baskets of scripture would be the Abhidhamma, the psychological interpretations, which most scholars believe that that's actually a later development and almost commentarial. Here we've got the monkeys, the langurs out eating leaves and flowers. In other areas, they're eating cookies that they're taking from people. It's interesting. I don't see any people there, and typically that would be a very busy area. So it must be blocked off. I was trying to find my way down there. But during the discourses, what was a little bit is not clear to me, and perhaps you know, is I've heard it presented a couple different ways. One, that it had to be they were going to have 500 arhants. Only arhants, enlightened beings, were allowed to participate in this meeting to compile and codify the scriptures, the three baskets. And Ananda had not yet attained enlightenment. Even though he was very advanced on the path, he had not tasted nibbana. So they let him know, and he was trying very hard to attain enlightenment because he had been focused so much on looking after the Buddha as the Buddha was in his declining years. And Ananda had made an agreement with him that he would help be his assistant, but that every single discourse that the Buddha gave, he had to repeat it verbatim to Ananda, who was his cousin as well. So Ananda had valuable He had a great memory and he had a lot of valuable information, but he hadn't attained enlightenment. And it was only when he was going to sleep at the cave down here, and he was about to hit his head to the pillow, and all of a sudden he attained enlightenment. He had been trying in a variety of ways, and only when he finally gave up and surrendered did the experience arise, and he tasted nibbanic bliss, and then he was able to go to the Satiparni cave and to meet, to be part of this very important meeting 2,500 years ago, where all these 500 enlightened beings, the Arhants, got together and compiled and codified the scriptures. Now, like in one account, I'd read that certain monks recited verbatim the words of the Buddha pertaining to certain topics. And then others made it seem like they all recited them together. So that would be very interesting if they were reciting the entire Tipitaka in sections together and agreeing, making sure that the pronunciations, the wording was all correct. So, so if you happen to know exactly, and maybe different schools have different versions, so whether they were collectively reciting or individually reciting and then agreeing, and then maybe certain disciples were assigned to each teacher to learn, to memorize, and to pass down the scripture. So it's like it's a little bit different from the Islamic way of memorizing, but I'd be interested in knowing the connecting points if you happen to have learned about them and studied it, and if you've got resources to share. So anyway, here we are. This is Vulture Peak, and I'm gonna head on down. So I was hoping to walk the way down, but I guess we'll take the chairlift down. All right, peace.